or a bystander, or an ally. And we are going to use, I encourage you, I invite you to think of the principle of yin and yang. So I was born in Cuba, in Santiago de Cuba, and my personal ancestry is African, European, Indigenous, Cuban, and Asian. And so in honor of my Chinese great-grandfather, you might be seeing him there somewhere, Changpat, we're going to think about the yin and yang principle, right? The yin and yang thought. Can anybody here share what they know about the yin and yang philosophy? Yin yang? Anyone? Oh, by the way, I just want to let you know that this is a dialogical workshop. There's talk going on. So that's the workshop is art making, but it's dialogical. So we're going to be talking through the whole thing. So anybody want to share with me their concepts, their understanding of yin and yang? Polarities. Yeah, like binaries. I don't like that word when it comes to the supporting the LGBT community, but it is a binary. Anything else that anybody can share about their understanding of yin-yang philosophies?
I think the light and the dark.
Light and dark.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that's
complementary to making a whole.
Any other ideas? Okay. So I'm going to pass out this paper, and I'm going to ask you to take one. Oh, this one got wet. Hopefully there's enough for everybody. Oh, you all have one already?
No, I just said I.
Okay, if you can take one and pass it around. So speaking of yin and yang, the enslaved Africans in Cuba, were very clever in their survivorship. And so, in order to avoid persecution when they were worshiping the Orishas, so my ancestors a lot of them were from Yoruba land, known as Nigeria now. When they were worshiping their deity, known as Orishas, and Yoruba religion known as Ifa is monotheistic, as is Islam, as is Christianity, as is Judaism, and what else? Oh, Judaism and Christianity. Oh, it took me a long time to get that word out. Christianity, yes. And so what they did in order to avoid persecution is that they hid the names of Orishas behind the names of Catholic saints with similar characteristics. And they did that just to avoid persecution, because when the slave master came and they were singing, whatever, it's like, stop it, you heathen, you take out the bullwhip, you pagan, Christ, Christ, Christ. Be a good Christian or I'll cut off your toes. Then the enslaved, being wise and having survival instincts, said, oh, Elegua is Christ. Elegua is Christ, because they have such similar characteristics. Not. So this new religion formed. It was a creolization, a mixture, a colonialization, right, of the religions, a syncretization. And whereas Christ was now worshipped with Elegua, El Santo Niño de Atocha in particular, the Christ child, was worshipped and praised. And you remember something? Oh, with Elegua. It's not that we believe that Elegua is the Christ child. That they have so many similar characteristics. We worship and praise them and honor them together. So, there is this wonderful fable in Yoruba about Elegua. Elegua's colors are black and red or black and white. His number is 3. And 2 brothers in Yoruba land were coming from different directions in a 3-way crossroad. The 3-way crossroad is one of the habitats of Elegua. And they met at the middle, and they just start like duking it out. They're fighting, almost to the death. And this little boy comes and is like, brothers, chill. Why are you killing yourselves? And one of the brothers says, I saw Elegua, and he had a red hat on. And the other brother said, no, tonto. No, that's Yoruba, they would say tonto, that's Spanish. They would say, the other brother said, I saw Elegua, and he had a black hat on. No, black, red, And this little boy who walked up to them pulled out a hat from his back pocket and put on his head. if you look at my artwork, you'll see some images of El Igual, the boy with the hat. And on one side, the hat was red, and the other side, the hat was black. And El Igual said to the brothers, "You both saw me, but you were seeing me from opposite perspectives." Meaning that in life, we can be looking at the exact same thing, Elizabeth and I, and see completely different things. So that again talks about the whole binary, culture, the whole philosophy of yin yang. So I invite you, when you're doing your art project, to think about that. Okay? Whose truth is more relevant than the other? Okay, so now everybody have a piece of paper? So does anybody get one? No? Everybody have one? Okay. So we're gonna do a little. Got it? Everybody got one? A piece of hard paper? Okay. Does everybody have a pen? Okay. What we're gonna do is, because it's in honor of the families who lost loved ones to the virus. What's it called? Corona. I'm gonna hold this so we don't have to share it. I'm gonna squirt a big glob in your hand. Don't do anything with the glob until I show you what was taught to me about the proper way to disinfect your hands. And some of you may know it. Okay, extend your hand. We're doing this because these art supplies are my art supplies, and I have 6 children at home, and I don't want to bring home any germs to them. And so the assistants are going to help me disinfect stuff. So it's going to help me keep me and my family germ-free. Blah, blah, blah. Don't do anything with it yet. Squirt, squirt, squirt. Squirt, squirt, squirt. Squirt, squirt, squirt. You're welcome. Squirt, squirt, squirt. Anybody else want some more here? Did you want to? You may want it. I didn't. No? Did you want to sit down and join us? Would you like to sit down and join us? Oh, okay. Whatever. Oh, who's next? Oops. You can't, Mr. Cameraman? Mr. Cameraman. Okay, just grab a piece of paper. Who's next? Squirt, squirt, squirt. Squirt, squirt. Okay, so this is what a pediatrician taught me. Is the most effective way to wash your hands if you pretend that you're lathering. Everybody got this? They said that first you just lather it up like this, right? And they told me you gotta go like this first and like do this between your fingers first, right? That's what they told me. And they told me to do this. They told me to do this. They told me not to do the backs, right? They also told me to do this with my thumbs, right? And then they told me to clean my fingernails. That's what. Yeah, like that, cleaning nails. Okay. So that's just to help keep my family safe.
This is the WHO, World Health Organization's CDC. The CDC does the 3-step process.
There we go. 3-step, 12-step, all good. Okay. So, we're going to take your piece of paper. Does everybody have a pen? Did everybody get an indelible marker? Okay. We're going to take your indelible marker, and we're going to approximate. We're going to mark our paper. I can use this one. Does anybody need an indelible marker?
Next one over here.
Need a piece of paper? This is paper. Okay, we're going to mark our paper approximately. We're going to take the end of our hand. We're going to put it at the edge, and then the longest fingernail, we're just going to make a mark right here at the top. Just make a mark there. A mark at the top. A mark at the top. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Approximately a hand's length. A mark at the top. Then we're going to go approximately another hand length and mark the side. Approximately. Another hand length and mark the side. Just approximately. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then we're not gonna crease the paper, we're not even gonna fold it, we're just gonna close it like this and imagine the center. I might make a mark in the imagined center. mark, 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 mark there. Okay? Everybody got those marks?
In the center?
There's a mark about the length of your hand from this edge to that edge. Same on the other side. There's a mark about from the length of your hand from here to there, roughly. And there's a mark roughly in the center at the bottom. Just a mark. Now, what you're going to do, from that mark to this mark, as straight a line as possible. Más o menos. More or less, roughly. And work as hastily as you can. Because my daughter has her first one-on-one therapy appointment at 3 on the Miracle Mile, and I gotta go meet her there. Got it? Now, here, important, you're gonna try to make it look like an even bow, like this. Like a seesaw, like at the bottom of a rocking chair. So it's not gonna be like this, because if it's like this, that rocking chair won't rock. It's gonna look like this. Think of rocking chair. Okay, so it's gonna be a perfectly rocking chair. So it's gonna look más o menos, more or less, like that. More or less. Imagine a rocking chair. Okay, I'm squiggly, but you know what I mean. Right? So that it's not like straight. So rocking chair. Imagine that this is the bottom of a rocking chair or a rocking horse. And then at the top, you're gonna mimic that, you're gonna try to go parallel, meaning that the distance between here and here is gonna be the same as the distance between here and here. And you're gonna try to, like, do the same thing at the top, más o menos. And you got that object, more or less, right? Perfect. Beautiful. Rocking chair. Whoever nursed their babies in a rocking chair? Anybody here? Yeah. Who's Latin American and has a rocking chair in their house? Yeah. In Cuba, everyone has a rocking chair in your house. I'm born in Santiago de Cuba. Rocking chair and a conga drum. And some maracas. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take turns with the scissors and cut that baby. Okay, so you have to share. So while some people are using scissors, other people are going to do this. On both, after you cut it, on both sides of your paper, in that shape, you are going to write silent no more, which is the name of this workshop, silent no more. So for those of you who came late, the workshop, incorporating the theme of yin and yang, talks about the importance of speaking out against rape culture, whether you are what? A what?
Survivor.
Or, there you go. Ally, survivor, bystander. Survivor, bystander, ally. Meaning that if you were never sexually assaulted, you can think about someone whom you know who was sexually assaulted, whether you know that person personally or not. And maybe do this exercise from that perspective. In empathy or understanding for a person whom you may know who was sexually assaulted. So everybody on one side writes silent no more, and you may write it however you like. You may write it in plain letters, you may write it in graffiti, you may write it in block letters that you're going to color in, you may write it big or small, you may write it everywhere, but I invite you to write that on one side. And then when those of you are done with the scissors, please pass them to someone who hasn't used a pair of scissors yet. Maybe the assistant can help with that. Who has a pair of scissors that are not being used? We need some scissors over here. So write that on both sides. Silent no more. Silent no more. No more. So while you guys do that, I'm going to talk about some of the imagery. So we have very good reason to believe when we were at the Cosby trial, retrial, and sentencing hearing that he probably hired shills to attack us. And unfortunately, so many of these men attacking me were black men. And we even got physically attacked. Okay? Everybody done? Everybody cut their thing? Try to work as hastily as possible, please. Part of your success as a visual artist is learning to work quickly and efficiently, particularly when you have so many thoughts in your mind.
Do we have others?
I thought you put about 8 pairs of scissors in here. Ándale, rápido. So you'll see in my imagery that I paint a lot of Orishas. I paint Catholic saints. Anybody else need a pair of scissors? Okay. Anybody else? Huh? Yes. Both sides. And when you're done, toss the scraps in the garbage, please. So we're going to be walking around the room. I encourage you to get up and move around the table, and when you need something, grab it. Okay? And use it. Silent no more. Más rápido. I'll take your scrappies. Scrapolas. So what we're doing specifically with the yin and yang philosophy, I must be head up and not that stuck. Are there more scissors in the house? We need a pair of scissors down here. Let's move around, help one another out. What we're looking at with the yin and yang philosophy as it relates to sexual assault is that even in sexual assault, there are some components to sexual assault that might even have a positive note to it. How are you going to do a rocking horse like that? We're going to go around. Okay, so let's, that's going to be like a really bumpy rock. Okay. So let's make that a little rounder. Okay. Okay? So, the day that Bill Cosby, my rapist, was incarcerated, scraps? You might want to make that a little bit rounder. The day that he was incarcerated, the next day I was invited to speak. Oh, look, I get death threats and rape threats for my art and for speaking out against Bill Cosby. But the day that we were at the sentencing, we were at his sentencing hearing in the fall of 2018, and then the next day, Dr. Christine Blasey Ford was actually testifying in a Senate hearing. ¿Hay tijeras? Scissors and gracias. The next day after my rapist was incarcerated, my very famous rapist, Bill Cosby, Dr. Christine Blasey Ford was testifying at a hearing for the nomination of Justice Kavanaugh. So it's amazing the convergence of these things. And here we are. And what happened today?
23 years.
23 years of what?
Prison.
Yeah. 23 years of prison. Whose is this one? Is it mine? Okay. So, is everybody done cutting yet? Let's throw away this stuff. Let me know when the last person is done cutting. And we don't need las tijeras anymore, so you can just pass las tijeras, the scissors up front, so I can put them back in my kids' desks at home. 6 kids, I gave birth to 6 kids in 10 years' time. Yeah, you know, that's a sign of mental illness. I love my kids, but clearly I was trying to escape my trauma, and my kids gave me a reason to live. I suffer suicidal ideation, so my kids they give me reason to live, and they're very glad to be alive, however dysfunctional their mama is. My pleasure. Wow. Okay, so silver linings. During this time when Democracy Now! Was interviewing me about the Kavanaugh hearing, I became aware that, you know, they asked me about things that we've done. We Cosby survivors, you see pictures there. We campaigned, we lobbied, we organized, we solicited Senator Connie Laiva to, in our little organization, we called it NRAPE-SOL, founded and spearheaded by Caroline Heldman, who used the woman with the blonde hair. She's a phenomenal activist, artist, author, multi-published author, badass, rock and roller, professor, survivor. Spearheaded NRAPE-SOL. And it occurred to me that what we did is we abolished, okay, so like in my case, with Bill Cosby, the rape and the drugging happened just a few months outside of the statute of limitations. So even though I had a plethora of evidence, I had answer machine recordings, letters, I had video testimonies of the therapist at the time. You might see some drawings that were black with color. After the Bill Cosby rape, as you therapists, professionals know, this happens. I became catatonic. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. because when I came home drugged and raped by Bill Cosby, my boyfriend at the time was at my apartment. He's been my spouse for the last 30 years. We've been divorced for a couple of years. We're separated for a couple of years. We're divorcing now. But he was there with me. He saw me drugged. I told him about the sexual assault. We confronted Bill Cosby together. Bill Cosby had been mentoring me in preparation for my guest starring role on The Cosby Show. So the boyfriend had met Bill Cosby. We confronted him together. We said, we're going to call the police. We're going to go to the hospital, and we're going to find out what you put in my sparkling apple cider. And Bill Cosby said, oh, yeah? Well, you know what? The minute you go to the police station, I'm going to go to the police station after you. And I'm going to file a police report against you for false accusation and defamation. And who are they going to believe? Lili Bernard, your little ass, or me? And you know what? I'm going to make sure that they put you in prison for a long time. And then you know what I'm also going to do while you're in prison? I'm going to blacklist you. I'm going to tell these are his words, quote unquote, verbatim. I'm going to tell all of Hollywood that you are nothing but a liar. Don't believe anything that Lili Bernard says. She's really a slut and a whore, trying to sleep her way to the top. It was consensual. And she's a no good ass actress. And I'm going to blacklist you. He did. He derailed my career. And we were so scared about speaking out. He said, from now on, anything that comes out of my mouth about me, your mouth, anything that comes out of your mouth, Lili Bernard, about me, Bill Cosby, better be positive. Because all it takes is one phone call. So you better watch your back. Instead, you don't exist. I interpreted those words as death threats. I was already an abused child looking for a father figure. And so we survivors were predisposed to being victims because we're used to being treated badly by people whom we love and adore. But he scared the shit out of me. I became suicidal. Again, like I was suicidal and a runaway child when I was 19 and smoking pot and drinking, crossfading in the morning. My first suicide attempt, I was 16, ended up in a coma in the hospital for about a week. But here I was, now mid-20s and scared for my life. My career's over and I was doing great. Guest starring on The Cosby Show. I starred in a Stephen King's miniseries for which I was mentioned in Variety magazine. I starred in a BBC film opposite Eric LaSalle and Bing Ray's. My career was just on the up and up and up and up and up. A lot of off-Broadway. And now it's all over. And now he says if I speak out against me, he's going to kill me. And he's like my dad. He was mentoring me. So my world was over. I was suicidal. And the therapist at the time in the hospital, my agent to whom I told the story, I've got video testimonies from my agent to whom I told the story in the 1990s, a therapist who had me make those drawings because I was so scared to speak. I was voiceless. That happens with Maya Angelou, was voiceless for how many years? I couldn't speak, so the therapist had me draw what happened. Those were those black and colorful drawings. And I just equated speaking out against Bill Cosby to my denial, my demise. So in 2014, when it just like started coming all in the news, I was like, oh my God, all these memories that I had oppressed for 23 years while I'm busy making babies to keep my mind off the trauma, they were just flooding my brain. I couldn't deal with it. They were coming. And what happened? Here I am, 50, whatever I was, however old I was back then. I had just turned 50. Suicidal ideation again. Monday before Thanksgiving, 2014, put on a 72-hour hold, 5150, and I was psych patient from Monday before Thanksgiving 2015 until February 18, 2015. With lots of thoughts, pervasive thoughts of killing myself. And so these pictures you see that are not black and white, I drew those in the psych ward during that period. I must say my spouse was my worst enemy in trying to come public because he was so terrified about what Bill Cosby would do to him if he were to speak out as a black man. He was a law student at NYU at the time. And then also, what are people going to think, that he did nothing to help me? That he was trying very abusively to keep me silent. And my biggest enemy in terms of that. So, we got this. On one side, let's start with the negative. I would like you to write a phrase or a few phrases that are real negative aspects of sexual assault. So if you're a sexual assault survivor, I invite you to write something that's personal. If you don't want to, don't. Again, it may be your own experience. It may be the experience of someone whom you love. I'll give you some examples, but write your own. Horrible things about sexual assault. I have an STD. I got pregnant and had to have an abortion. I'm infertile. I can't sleep. My relationships suck. I'm terrified of having sex. She is a pain in the neck because all she talks about is her rape. I can't talk about anything sexual around her. She flips out. She keeps me awake at night. I can't sleep because she's having all these night terrors. I have night terrors. Everything is a trigger for me. I'm terrified. I'm bulimic. I'm anorexic. I'm afraid. So, write whatever phrase is. You can just take a few minutes to do that. The negative aspects of sexual assault, whether you're a victim, survivor, bystander, or ally. Both sides have to say silent no more. My bad. If I didn't say that, I forgot. Both sides of the paper have to say silent no more. We're working both sides. So both sides of the paper say silent no more, and one side has phrases or a phrase or a sentence that is a negative aspect of sexual assault. Now we're going to flip it. And the positive side is, and this is where the duality comes in, were it not for my suffering, right? I wouldn't be here giving you this art lesson. Were it not for my suffering, there'd still be a statute of limitations on rape prosecution in California, but because we Cosby survivors campaigned and testified and lobbied, there are no more statute of limitations on rape prosecution, no more 10-year limit. We had to go through that to change the laws. We used our unfortunate celebrity. What is the silver lining? What is a positive thing that you could associate with sexual assault? Hey, I survived. I'm here. I gave birth. I had an orgasm today. I took a bath. I washed my hair. I have a new partner, romantic partner. I slept well. She feels safe when her dog is around. She is sober now. She took me to her AA meeting. He has come out about being homosexual, and he's understanding that it does not have anything to do with his rape. That's the way he was born. He confronted his uncle. Okay? Positive. And when everyone's done writing that, while everyone's writing that, I'm going to give you a little lesson about colors. So again, all of these materials you're using are my personal art materials. So I express myself creativity-wise, not just as an actor and a writer, but also as a visual artist. So I thank you for respecting my materials, meaning that don't let paint dry hard on the brushes. So after you use one color, please dip the paintbrush in the water.
I didn't get that.
After you use 2020. After you use a paintbrush, a color, dip it in the water, wash it. Try to make sure there's no paint on the brush because it dries really quickly. Plastic, acrylic. Okay, ready? Let's talk about color theory for a little bit. The three primary colors are what?
Red, blue, and yellow.
Red, blue, and yellow. Do you notice any bottles of orange on the table? No, why not? Because we artists are broke ass. And we make our orange. How do we make it?
Yellow.
Red and yellow. Red and yellow, red and yellow. Now black and yellow, that's a song. Black and yellow, red and yellow make orange. So if you have more yellow in it, it's what? Brighter. If you have more red in it, it's a little darker. You can also add white to it, right? And make it kind of like a pastel-y kind of color. You notice that there's no purple on the table because I'm not getting paid for this seminar. That's okay.
Blue and red.
What?
Blue and red.
Blue and red. Blue and red. What if you want to make lavender? Blue, red, and
White.
white. Very good. What if you want to make red? Black and white. Okay. What do you like? You look like a art professor?
No, not at all.
Okay.
My guess.
What colors make brown?
Everything.
We are kind of like everything, aren't we?
Usually when the
Yes.
kids are mixing the paints out.
That's right.
Everything.
Say it again. Say it again.
Everything. I just say when my son is mixing paints out, he's always making brown. It's like blue, green, yellow. Mom, look at this beautiful color. Oh, sure.
And that's so poetic, of course. We of the African diaspora descended from the slaves. We are a mix of everything, right? But we're brown. I'm a little beige. Okay, so brown. What makes tan? Makes you mulatita. What does mulatita mean? Anybody speak Spanish? Mulatita. And as Latinas, are you Latina? We know how colonialism affects us still today, right? The lighter you are, the more what you are.
Prestige.
Privilege. Now in Cuba we have a caste system, just like they do in India. Right? There's blanco, mestiza, jabao, pardo, moreno, mulata, yo soy mulata, right? Negro, all that stuff. Sure, the lighter you are, the more privilege you have. And I hear that the Mexicans call a light-skinned Latina a what? Güerita?
Yes.
Güera. Sometimes our racial self-hatred is expressed in the way we wear our hair. A lot of Europeanism, the straightened hair texture. My parents, they flip out that I wear my hair naturally, and they said, "Estás echando la raza atrás. Nos estás echando atrás. Nos están, like, estás atrasada." Atrasada, what does atrasada mean?
Backwards.
You are backwards. Nos estás echando atrás. You're putting us back, la raza, the whole race. You are so light. Why do you wear your hair like that? You're better than that. That's what my dad said to me when I was 52 years old. Because Poppy, I wore my hair like this. But you know, you don't have good hair. Oh, Poppy, all hair is good hair. I know, me got that. Okay. All right. So, got it? Now, on the, you got both. Did you put both things on each side? Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the paint, and this is how we paint. So we got the color theory, right? Everybody have any questions about color theory? Got it? We're going to paint quickly, because a key to the success of a prolific artist, of course, is painting or producing art quickly. So we must work efficiently because we need this object to be dry by the end of by 3 o'clock. Okay, by 2:30.
By 2:30.
2:30. Okay, 2:30. So, again, clean your brushes. These things here are called palette knives. You can pass them down. You can use these palette knives to mix your colors. This little palette paper here is like a wax paper. You can mix your colors on there. You can mix your colors in here. You walk around the table. There's the water. Whatever you need, just walk around. Okay? Share. Palette knives for mixing. Okay? You can also mix with brushes if you want to. There are a lot of palette knives here, so walk around. So now we're going to begin with the positive side, and I'm going to time you. Where's my trusty Siri device? I'm going to tell you get 10 minutes to color. We're going to start with the negative side. Everybody flip. We're going to start with negative. I changed my mind. My bad. We're going to start with the negative side. Because we always like to end on the positive. I do. Okay. Flip to the negative side. Now, I'm going to invite you to paint imagery that you feel might relate to the negative aspects of rape and sexual assault. It doesn't have to be literal by any means. It could just be colors. It could just be a color that you consider to be bright. Negative, I mean dull. We're on the negative, right? A color that you consider to be, if I switch up my words around, forgive me. Correct me.
We right with you.
Correct me. We're on the negative.
Yeah.
So whether you want to draw a skeleton or face in horror or use a lot of colors that you think evoke negative feelings, please do that. But you got 10 minutes. And I'm going to start the timer now. So, the idea is to keep this dry fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint not so thickly, right? Not so thickly, and we're going to paint quickly. So I'm going to start the clock. You got 10 minutes to paint that up, however you want.
Like, can we have some colors?
Yeah, walk around and do whatever you need.
Okay.
Just walk around and get what you need. It's an exercise class. It's dialogical and it's okay. I'm going to start the clock. Ready? Now, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And so while you guys are painting, don't let my talking distract you, but that's Latasha Harlan's. You all know that Latasha Harlan's went to try to, and like in March of 1991, she took the orange from a store and orange juice bottle, put it in her backpack, went to the counter to pay for it. And the Korean store clerk noticed that she had a bottle of orange juice in her backpack, didn't understand that she was trying to pay for it, grabs her, pulls her over the counter. Latasha punches her, the person throws a chair at her, and then Latasha's like, fine, you know what, there's your orange juice, turns around, she gets shot in the back of the head and killed. God bless her soul. And of course, what happened to the Korean store owner? She gets, like 400 hours of community service, maybe $500 fine, and no jail time. So that, along with the Rodney King attackers getting also no jail time, even though their assault of Rodney King was videotaped, helped to incite the insurgency, what people call the what riots? The LA riots, 1992. That was Latasha Harlan. So that's a piece I do about, I do a lot of performance stuff. All right, so paint it up nicely. So, keeping in mind the guidelines that Blue Goldblum has about not triggering, not using specifics that would trigger, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges of speaking out? Why do some sexual assault survivors not speak out? Shame. And they say that the average sexual assault survivor doesn't speak out until they're in their 40s or 50s. Shame. Why? What else takes people to I'm always attacked, as you saw the death threats, the rape threats. They won't be believed. What took you so long? Say it again.
They won't be believed.
They won't be believed. What other reasons might?
It's too much to remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Too much to remember.
Or maybe they don't want to do it because it's in their family and they don't want to hurt the rest of the family by you letting that out. Family dynamics are already
Protecting them.
Or you don't want
Yeah.
the family to blame themselves.
So you imagine that? You probably afraid nobody's gonna believe them.
No one's gonna believe them.
My story doesn't matter. It could have been so much worse.
Oh,
Causing problems.
causing problems.
Yeah.
No one ever believed you anyway.
Say it again.
No one ever believed you anyway.
No one ever believed you anyway when you were telling them that you did take out the garbage. I swear I took it out. No, something so benign as that, right? No one would believe you for sure. Other reasons that people might take so long to speak out?
Well, or like that lady lawyer said, what if they think, how did I get myself into this?
How did I get myself into this?
Like self-blame, huh?
Self-blame.
I should have went there. It's my fault. I should have left. It's my fault.
So these are what they call rape myths, right? And what really made the Cosby retrial successful, because I was there for the first trial, I was there every day of the retrial, I was there for the sentencing hearing. The first trial ended in a hung verdict, hung jury, but in the second trial they put a witness who was an expert witness as the very first witness on the stand, and her name was Dr. Barbara Ziv, and she is a forensic psychiatrist whose specialty is to testify about these matters. And she just schooled that jury and taught them about rape myths and explained to them, for example, people may say, well, you saw Bill Cosby again, or you went to see him again after he raped you. I guess it must have been consensual, or maybe it didn't happen, because why would you go back to your rapist if you're so scared of him? Well, Dr. Ziv said this is a very common response to go back to the rapist. Why? Because federal statistics say that more than 85% of rapists are people whom we know intimately. So we've had a relationship with the person. We go back because we want to confront them. Why did you do this to me? Did you do this to me? Am I imagining? Wait a minute, can we make it right? Can we go back to how it was before? Did I do something wrong? Why? So she schooled them, she edified them, she taught them about rape myths. And that jury did the right thing. And then, at the Weinstein trial, they brought Dr. Viv also on the stand as an expert witness. So let me tell you how much time you have left. 4 minutes and 50 seconds to cover up that whole side as you see fit. Bring out the colors if you want to. Make it monochrome if you want to. Seinfeld. I was so terrified when I guest starred on the Seinfeld show. I played Kramer's black girlfriend Anna because I'm like, oh man, Cosby had just drugged and raped me a couple of years before. It's NBC. The Cosby Show was NBC. Oh, Bill Cosby was a comedian. Jerry Seinfeld's a comedian. Oh, Seinfeld is the name of the comedian. Cosby's the name of the comedian. Is this like the way NBC rolls with top primetime TV shows named by famous comedians? Help! Am I going to get raped? Again, I was terrified. No, Jerry Seinfeld was really nice. He didn't hurt me. I perform a lot with my kids. I have 6 kids. They've been performing with me since they were little kids. I was at the Cuban music festival. Oh, my youngest is now 11 years old, and my oldest is 22. And when you look at those slides, you see such accomplished children. My oldest is Johns Hopkins graduate student. I've got a CalArts animator son who got us to the White House Film Festival to meet Barack Obama, because he's always winning awards with animation, so he's in CalArts now. I've got another son who's Emerson, great actor doing Shakespeare. Another son who's a Olympic bound soccer player being recruited by colleges. Another son who's a 9th grader, a daughter 11. Oh, we're such a perfect family. Nope. Unfortunately, my trauma has fucked up my kids too. I try the best that I can, but unfortunately they have suffered the consequences, and their lives are made hard by my trauma. So when I was at Cornell, I was trying all these different kinds of careers. I started as a visual artist major. I switched to genetics. I switched to what else? Theater. I finally ended up with a degree in German. But in genetics, there's some experiments that talk about this thing called epigenetics, where they show that the trauma is actually inherited in the DNA. You got some fruit flies, right? You put some food or some sugar by a light. You zap the light and electrocute them, and they do this dance, right? Ah! Of course. You do this dance. Is it time? Is it 10 minutes? 45 seconds? Is that the 45-second mark?
That's a 40 minute.
Oh, for all together.
Oh, are you giving
I'm giving you the time.
Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you. Very generous. And then you go down about 2.5 generations, I think it is, and you take some fruit flies, and the ones whose ancestors were zapped by electricity, they go to that light, but they don't get zapped by electricity. You know what they do? They do that dance, even though they've never been zapped by electricity. And the one whose ancestors weren't zapped, they go to that light and they don't do that dance. So our trauma is inherited. Those are the drawings that I made when I told you I was in my 5150s, 2014, 2015. Because the same thing, couldn't talk about it, but I sure could draw about it. Oh, where are we? We got like a minute. Okay, so let's try to finish up that side as fast as possible because we're gonna flip it. Finish up this side, you got a minute. According to my watch. Is that right? You got a minute. 60 seconds. Gloria Allred. So she stood by my side and gave me strength when I first went public about my having been drugged and raped by Bill Cosby. So even though I have like a plethora of evidence, I have tape recorded conversations with Bill Cosby, video testimonies with his therapist at that time, of my agent who kept trying to convince me to go public, but I said I was terrified because he's going to kill you too, Nancy. Letters. I couldn't do anything with that evidence because the incident happened just a few months outside of the statute of limitations. But I took all that evidence with me when we were campaigning and lobbying to abolish the statute of limitations on rape prosecution, and I showed them. I took them to the offices of every legislator, and I showed them the evidence. So in other words, you could be 23 years outside of your rape, but you could still have compelling evidence that you could prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. And that abolishing the statute of limitations does not change the burden of proof. Okay. Are we good? Ready to flip it? Flip it. Let's do the other side. And before we do the other side, let's give that side a chance to dry. So let's do this, okay? Let's take turns. And this thing. I'm going to invite you. Who wants to be here? Who wants to go voiced? Anybody want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. What we're going to do, okay. What we're going to do, I invite you, and I say invite you because you don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can just say pass if you don't want to, but I invite you to take your turn and say your name very briefly, what you are, who you do. I'm a mom, I'm a therapist, I'm whatever. I'm Karen, I'm this. And then you say, silent no more. And then you read one or a few or all of the negative phrases that you wrote, because we're starting on the dark side, right? Yin yang, right? Got it? Name, who you are, what you do, briefly. Silent no more. Read what you wrote.
My name is Lisa Orlo. I am reclaiming my being an actress that I gave up a long time ago because it was my fault. I thought it was my fault. So I'm silent no more. I'm doing a show about it actually. So I'm really going out there.
You want to say the name of your show so we look out?
Oh yeah, the show is called Hollywoodn't. About my
derailment of your career, right?
Yeah. About needing more dating. And and I slept with them. And I thought that was the thing to do. But well, anyway, that's all I'll say. 'Cause my show, I talk about a lot of other people. All these people that were telling me that this is what I needed to do. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, just your name.
My
what
name
you
is
do.
Tina. I've done a lot of things. What I'm currently doing is I'm working with NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness, as a peer facilitator, board member, etc. And so read the
Silent no more. And then
Silent no more. I don't deserve to have anything in life. You're no good. You weren't worth saving. Nobody will love you. God won't let me have children. And so try to visualize me about 7 inches shorter, 100 pounds lighter, 44 years younger, and guy, 38-year-old guy, a contractor, working on our house for about 10 months.
Sorry about that. Thank you for sharing.
Hello, my name is Stacy. I am a victim advocate. Silent no more. And I'll leave it at that.
My name is Lauren Ann, and I'm an actor, though I refuse to let it go. Technically, I'm not an actor, but I am. It's like one of those things where it's what I've always been, always known, it's part of who I am. But I haven't been cast since 2012 because a guy molested me, so lied about, blacklisted, slandered, triggers, illness, autoimmune disease, no sleep, it's your fault, self-blame, no friends, cancer, no kids.
My name is Alejandra. I work with unaccompanied children. Silent no more. My name is Denise. I am a family counselor. Silent no more.
name is Lisa, I'm starting with my first.
My name is Diana. I do a solo show, also in Lisa. And it's we use comedy character work to bring awareness about the psychological impact of sexual assault and domestic violence. And remind suicidal thoughts.
I'm Nancy. I'm a new parent educator. My education is experiences with domestic violence and sexual assault on the kids.
My name is Cecily, and I'm a case manager for victims of domestic violence.
I'm Eleanor, and I'm a therapist, and my specialty is domestic violence. I work with female and male victims, and Silent No More.
Hi, my name is Felicia Edwards, and I'm like a jack of all trades, community advocate. Wherever I'm needed, I'm there, moving around different issues, but for me, I keep it survivor-centered. My survivorships come around having 2 brothers murdered to gang violence. So mine was just crazy, judgment, move on, pain, fear, get over it, hateful, family, mean, not nice. Silent No More.
My name is Susie. I'm at a nonprofit animation studio. We're working on a series about trauma and PTSD to help kids and families who've been impacted by trauma and PTSD as a resource and help them live their lives on this work. And I'm panic, anxiety, repressing, fearing one-on-one situations.
Brandon, I'm a pediatric registered nurse with Cedars-Sinai. We work primarily in underserved communities of LA. What I did is I put a dark cloud, it's not the most artistic thing, but it's overshadowing the Silent No More, and around that cloud I just put different terms, guilt, regret, social media, bullying, etc. It's like a representation of how that clouds coming out of silence. Come out of the next side.
Lisa, I'm a school psychologist in Long Beach, and
I'm Sergio Hernandez, dental hygienist with Cedars-Sinai, Silent No More.
Thank you everybody for sharing. A lot of common thread. And I'm sorry for all your suffering. Let's flip it. Now we're on the positive side, right? And everybody wrote some positive phrase or phrases. Okay, you have 10 minutes to color that up. Let's go. I'm going to start the clock. Okay. And again, keep the paint light.
Okay, so now I'm going to invite you guys to help me clean up. So make sure all the brushes are clean, and why don't you give me your pens. And what we're going to do is we're going to multitask. So now we're ending on the positive, right? A little bit easier to talk about. So while we're cleaning up, let's read out loud. We know who we are. Let's just read out loud our positive phrases. Who wants to go first?
I'm transformed.
Okay, let's go around the circle.
Empowerment.
Thank you.
Compassion.
Broke that generational curse.
Yes.
Courage. Survivor.
Justice. What was that? Justice?
Survivor.
I speak up.
Okay.
Creating change.
Let's wash the brushes while we're talking. Creating change.
Found my voice.
Found your voice. Let's close up the page too. I normally wouldn't be like so haste, but I gotta get my daughter to her first one-on-one. Yes.
So I wrote the word breakbar, and breakbar is the main character of a story that teaches children about trauma and so
Great part. Go ahead. Anybody else?
You want us to do some yelling?
Yeah, sure. Dusty head. Scissors, please. Pens. May I have pens and scissors?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you could, I think, the paint.
I'm just letting all the pages here.
Thank you. Put them all. Thank you.
Where you want?
I would say, here, let's just throw all the paints in this plastic bag. Here. You got all the paints?
Are there all the paints, guys? Any more paint?
There's a tape one over to my right.
And this green one right here.
You got all the scissors?
This big one, that's, is that it? Yeah, that's paint.
Oh, okay. All the brushes clean?
Not working on it.
All right. So I'm going to take my materials, and if somebody could just pour out the waters and then bring me back my paint in the plastic bag. If someone could please pour out the waters. And then the rags, let's hand in the rags. And we're not done though, there's still one more assignment. We're letting our artwork. Don't leave. I mean, just take out the water and come back. We're not done with the workshop yet. Huh? Sure. Make a mess. We're not done with the workshop yet. We got one more thing to do. So make sure you come back.
Should I take these up?
Huh?
Do you want me to take these
Oh, no, they can clean that
They
up.
can clean that up too, okay. So,
Now, if you can just pass me all the paint brushes and everybody come back and take
We're
a
still
seat.
soaking a couple of paintbrushes right here. We don't want to
Thank
get
you.
them too dirty.
Everybody come back and take a seat. We're going to finish up in a special way. Thank you.
You said you wanted these rags back too?
Yes, we do repurpose and recycle. Great. Let's put the paint, everything back in my little. No, let's do it this way. Let's put the brushes this way.
There's one thing
I would say, yeah, bamboo at the art store. And all the paint. So, okay. Oh. Make sure that water brushes is dry and water. And you can just. Thank you. Try to get everything in my little, careful of these. Thank you, carry-on bag. What else do we have? Can we put all those containers in one on top of another? Okay, now we're gonna sit back down, we're gonna finish up. This way I can just zoom out of here.
Yeah, we have 15 minutes.
Yes, thank you. And let's, so I can zoom out of here. Oh, thank you. Okay. Can somebody help me to get my suitcase up and thank you. Oh, let's put the rags in there. You can be so kind as to do that for me. Have you got everything? So I'm gonna just boogie out of here. We're good. Did I get all the materials back?
Is this your tape?
Yeah, let's put all that.
Is this your tape?
No. Let's put everything in here. So I'm gonna.
But I don't know how clinical the hospital is for case managing, like discharge plans, where you're gonna send.
Okay. Where's my purse? Are we good to go? All right, let's sit down. We're gonna finish up now. Okay. Thank you for your time. This is the last thing we're going to do. Okay, look at your object that you painted. It's also a functional object. Functionality. There's this debate, of course, with art. If something is functional, is it still art? But you made something. Do you know what that functioning thing you made is?
Sign.
Huh?
Political sign.
Yes, it is. What does it do?
Sends a message.
Okay, it's an object you made, not just a piece of paper. Okay. A cone, a megaphone. Okay, so what we're going to do is this. We're thinking about yin and yang, right? We're thinking about the power of speaking out against rape culture, whether you are a what? Survivor, ally, or bystander. The power of it. So I invite you to think about yourself now, right? What is the duality? I don't like the whole binary thing because I have a lot of love and respect for the LGBT community, very close family members who are. But think of yourself. Are you the kind of person who carries on the outside of positivity but on the inside you're negative and miserable and horrible? Or are you the kind of person that carries negative traits on the outside and grumpy and whatever, but you're just really chill on the inside? Or maybe you appear to be callous, a little cold, or unaffected, or cool, but on the inside you're passionate, whatever. So please roll up that megaphone in a way that would reflect your personality. This is just for you to think about. Let's roll it up. Okay, this is just for your thinking. We're just, and so we heard Maya Angelou's poem, and she ends it with 3, I rise, I rise, I rise. So we're going to end this class, and we're going to use our megaphone. Oh, can somebody videotape this? Does anybody have a camera? Oh, you're videotaping it. That's all right. Okay. Okay, ready? Got your megaphone? So we're going to do this, and then maybe we can do a group picture. Oh, I should take some pictures of this because it's really kind of quite dramatic. This cone. Can you all put your cones up and I can take some nice pictures because it's a very beautiful imagery, if you don't mind, of the cone. So I'm just going to go around and take some images of you with your cones. Okay, may I? May I take pictures of you all with your cones up? Ready? Cones, picture. Okay, so in the spirit of Maya Angelou's 3 Still I Rises, we're just going to speak out in whatever manner you want, whether it's soft or loud. I'll get you from this side. Whether you whisper or yell or sing it is up to you.
That's a yell.
We're going to do a choreographed. Let's get the men in the picture. Let's without men. Yeah, hold on a second. You know? Men in the house. Okay, on 3, and then we're down to a group shot. We'll put some chairs here. We'll have people in the middle sitting on the floor and behind the group shot. Ready? On 3. 1. Silent no more 3 times. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna yell silent no more. Okay, we're gonna say silent no more. We're going to use our megaphones. Yes. We're going to use our megaphones to say, sing, shout, or whisper. However you want to do it. Silent no more 3 times. Ready? Use the megaphone. Go. Silent no more. Silent no more. Silent no more. Thank you. Okay, let's do a quick